Hello, I'm Matt Guffenhaus.com. This is Mike Oelkers from Ride Snowboards. Mike, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
So good. I'm finally having lunch, settled down a little bit. We're talking about some 2020 product, and specifically the bindings. We're going to roll through the Revolt all the way up into the El Jefe. No matter where you are in your price point, your skill, or terrain, or preferred terrain riding area, you can find a ride binding that kind of caters more towards what you like, but still goes into other sections at the same time.
Definitely.
Even though the El Jefe is a stiff responsive binding, can you still jib with it?
Sure.
Sure, why not? Right?
Oh, yes.
Cool. So, Oelkers, there's a lot of differences, there's a lot of similarities. Which way do you want to start out?
First, the big thing to start out with, everything that we have here, we're going to be talking aluminum.
Aluminum chassis.
Aluminum chassis, yep. So aluminum for a reason. 6061 aircraft aluminum, so this isn't your PBR can.
Nope.
So the big point on that and to carry home with is strength, something you can rely on, trust, and being able to get out there in any condition and feel the same every time. So as we know, aircraft go up in the sky, it gets cold, they're warm down here. That aircraft aluminum doesn't change the temperature or the integrity of the binding. So at the end of the day, you're getting something that's consistent across the board. So that's kind of why we trust in aluminum. It's a performance product, so it's meant to do good things for you. So starting out on our furthest one over here,
we have the Revolt.
we have the Revolt. So
This is a good piece.
this is one of the bindings that stayed true and strong for us on our freestyle market. Edge chassis going on here. So we've got two chassis in our aluminum story. One is the Edge chassis and the second is the Infinity. The Edge chassis is a little bit softer flexing, a little bit better for that freestyle guy. But all of the bindings will come with wedgie footbeds that are all canted at an angle in here. So it's a 3-degree angle.
3 degree. On all bindings?
All of them, top to bottom, whether it's our plastic chassis all the way up to our El Jefes. El Jefe actually comes with a 3 and a 5. So you can alter that if you like and you want a little bit more canting in there. What it does for you, it takes the pressure off your knees, hips, ankles, and gives you a more comfortable ride and takes some of the shock out of the ride.
Right.
So all of them will have that. Then, some of the key features that make this binding a little different. On the back, we've got the adjustability of that heel cup. Being able to dictate that you have the same amount of room on your boot and your binding combo in the front and the rear helps you create less toe drag. So you're able to adjust that for you. So it's a better fit for you. Typically, our bindings are a minimal chassis, so all of them run about 30% less material than the average binding.
Wow.
So your footprint's better, so what makes that great about it is you're not putting a damp spot on your board. So a board is meant to flex just like it's meant to flex, so the more restriction it has from a binding or boot, you're going to have more restriction. So we've got smaller plates going on, and all of them also will have a rollover chassis.
Which I really appreciate. Right.
Yes. So the rollover chassis, again, it cuts those points where you could, crink your board or crack it, or it's going to be a pressure point to make that board flex that way.
Right.
So those guys will all have that. The Revolt, like I said, is going towards that more freestyle oriented. So here we have the Hands of Doom, the 5 fingers of death on there. Dave Banks did this graphic for
Same
us.
guy who did the graphics for the Wildlife?
Wildlife, yep.
Right.
So it ties right back to that. But what we have here is quite the soft flexing high back.
Right.
So
Urethane?
it's a urethane high back. So again, that's also not going to be dictated by temperature because it's urethane. So there's minimal in there that it'll stiffen up a little bit when it's colder and loosen up when it's warmer. But for the most part, it doesn't change that.
Right.
So you've got that going on. We have our new ratchets on there. So basically, these guys are there to cut out of that ladder chew. So the more you strap down, most people, when they're actually strapping down, they're not coming down how they should, just like this. They're pulling on it, doing this. So that linkage ratchet actually has another bar in there that doesn't allow the ratchet to twist. So there's no torsional movement in there. So then you cut down on ladder chew. Yeah, so you've got that. All of our bindings are going to have that 3D formed over the toe, over the tip kind of deal.
You're convertible. You can do both.
Yes, and so it's built in there so that you have a little bit of room, so
Right.
it can go to another brand or anything like that. But fits really great with ride.
Right. Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
When you ride your toe straps, because you have the ability to wear them across the front of your toes over the top of your boot, which way do you prefer to ride with them?
I prefer over the toe now.
You prefer over the toe now?
Yeah, I rode up until probably 3 years ago over the top.
Wow.
And now I'm over the toe, and I just feel like it's a better fit because you're pulling back. That strap is pulling back and pulling you into your heel cup. So essentially, what that's going to help you do is get quicker edge to edge because you're in a tight platform there.
Right.
So I like it over the toe, but you can do it any way you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a great binding, and there's a lot of adjustability. Whether you want to like center the straps or move the heel loop out or heel cup out, you can do that.
You can.
Cool.
You can. We do have also a 3D formed urethane ankle strap.
Oh,
So it's just urethane. So a lot of times we'll hear people be like, "Oh, this big cushy, squishy ankle strap." I'm
you
like,
push through it.
if you can feel that through your boot, I'll give you. I don't know what I'll give you, a lollipop, but you don't feel it over there. So this is taking a minimalistic approach where we're cutting out some of the materials, lightening up the binding. It's still 3D form, so it's going to go across there really well and lightens it up, and it's an easier system to get into.
Cool. The nice, plain and simple binding, and then we have one of my favorites. They have the rodeo, maybe a touch stiffer than what you'll find in your average binding. Great price point, a lot of key features.
Yeah. So the
Plush strap.
Plush, yes, a plush ankle strap, squishy. So the biggest difference coming from that Revolt is we're jumping into the Infinity chassis. So on this, you can actually see that there's a longer roll bar. That longer aluminum roll bar is going to give you quicker edge to edge.
Right.
So that whole chassis is acting to get you on your edge quicker that way. So you'll still have that EVA footbed in there, and then you're still going to have over the toe, over the top. You got the ratchets, and then you've got a plush ankle strap. So a little bit squishier. Mid-range. If it's not broke, don't fix it. We haven't changed it, so that end of it's good. And then we have our nylon injected high back on there.
Right. So a little bit softer than what you find, or a little bit stiffer than what you find in the nylon PU composite.
Yep, definitely.
Right.
Yep. So that's it's geared towards basically a universal rider. Somebody who's an all-mountain freestyle guy. So you can take it in the park, you can take it out on the groomers. So built kind of for everyone. Yep.
Yeah, a little bit stiffer up on top. And then a binding that's kind of similar with a couple of different unique upgrades. Well, I don't want to say upgrades, but a couple of tech features that differ slightly.
Yeah, so
high back ankle strap.
Same kind of deal that you were going with on your rodeo. You're going to have that Infinity chassis. You've got the wedgie footbed over the toe, over the top. The biggest changes that go on here is in the high back. So this is going to be injected nylon and urethane high back.
Right.
So that lower part of your binding is going to have a little bit more nylon in there and be more rigid. So for those guys that want to go bigger, go faster, they've got the rigidity down there, and then when they do their freestyle movement, the upper is a little bit softer with that urethane. So big change in your high back, and then we have a dual injected ankle strap.
Now this is a strap that Ride introduced last year.
Yes,
I believe.
Yep.
And I like that form and fit of the dual component instead of having a lot of like open pieces.
Yep.
I enjoy how it feels.
Well.
Yeah,
it hugs well and makes you feel great. The two parts in it, your power is basically coming into that center part of this binding, and then this is kind of like the glove that makes it feel good on there. So all your power is coming across to your. It's cut down. It's extremely thin. So these are 3D formed, but when you look at them, it's tiny. It snaps back to that. So a little bit more of that high-end performance all mountain, where this could be a freestyle story. This graphic also ties back to our burnout. This is the Rad Dan graphic.
That's right.
Yeah. So
updated shape for the burnout board that it matches too.
it does. Yep.
It's
So
nice little
really
combo.
clean setup and looks great together. Yeah.
And then kind of stepping into a kind of different realm is that's one common theme and word I've been using a lot of. Realms. If you think of a different word for me besides a realm or level, let me know.
Send it over.
Yeah.
Send it over to him.
Send it over.
Yeah.
Get sent into the next level.
Ooh. Mario Brothers.
Capo.
So here we're talking about the Capo. So this is that next phase in an all mountain story. So here you can obviously see the binding has opened up a little bit to cut down some of that weight, but it's a nylon high back, so it's a very stiff all mountain story.
Right.
It's one of those I've seen people ride it in the park too. There's nothing.
Right.
Some of our riders are on it in the park. They just like the look of it. So if they require a stiffer high back, this is kind of where they go. So same program that you're going on with those rodeos. You've got the Infinity chassis. You got the wedgie footbed over the toe, over the top, and now you get a dual 3D formed injected ankle strap.
Boom.
So what it is set up for is basically if somebody has the knack that they want a squishy, softer flexing ankle strap, or they want a stiffer one, or if you prefer to do it all in one day, you can flip it and just undo these and spin them out so that you've got it's set up right now for the harder charging person, and then when you flip them and it goes gray, it's going to be softer flexing with that urethane on the top.
Right, and that's a cool part about this. What's the technical term for the name of the binding or the strap?
The strap is just that it's a dual
Cool.
3D form. So at the end of it, it's functioning twice for what you want. So
Right.
I mean, typically you see somebody that wants a high-end binding and they might not care for a stiff strap if they've got a stiff chassis and a high back. So then they can spin it around,
Right.
run it a little
Right.
softer, and it is a considerable feel.
Difference.
I feel like a lot of times people will buy them and they just don't even know that it does that, or there is a standalone sticker that goes on there to tell you that, but
Right.
at the end of the day most people don't change their stuff. But when you're getting into a higher level of snowboard, when you're paying more money for your binding, you're requiring a better fit and a feel out of it, and this allows you to dictate whether or not you want it soft or hard charging.
Right, and it's kind of cool because both on the El Cap and the El Jefe, they have this dual component style strap. The darker black section is a little bit stiffer, more supportive on the upper section, and then the gray is just a little bit more pliable, soft. And you can switch out the right strap for the left strap. You can flip-flop them, and then that changes the positioning of the softer or the harder or the softer section. So I'd imagine if I was in the park, and I was riding one of these two bindings, I'd probably have the gray part, the softer section, up on top for park and POW. But if I was all Martin hard charging, I'd probably keep it just the way that it comes out of the box.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
That's a nice one. I've always appreciated what seemed to be a little bit higher and more narrow El Cap high back, and then that underfoot bushing that you'll find in both that one and this one too is a real nice touch.
Yep, a little
helps to dampen.
urethane roll bar to
Right.
control that dampening and some of that faster pace riding.
Yeah, and then the granddaddy of them all comes with an additional footbed at 5 degrees, has its own secret spy carrying case,
Yes,
briefcase.
you do. Yeah.
This is the El Jefe, a little bit of carbon, lots of stiff properties.
Definitely.
Looks good.
So basically the same kind of thing that we were talking about on the Capo. You're getting all the features that you have on the Capo with that dual functioning ankle strap. But the biggest update here is in our carbon urethane high back. So this is the epitome of somebody who wants to hard charge, wants a lot of response and dampening coming out of their binding. They want the carbon fact for being light and sturdy, but they want that urethane portion of it just to dampen it out. So if you have just a straight carbon, typically your carbon tends to be very chattery. So if it's only carbon, you feel it on the back, and the faster you go, the harder it chatters. So now adding different layers of urethane and carbon in there, it dampens it out and gives you the traditional feel of a high back with a carbon high back.
Beautiful thing.
It is beautiful.
That's a beautiful thing. Now, if you can match up a board, even though you can take these bindings within any kind of category and put them on any kind of board, What boards do you think would match up with these perfectly? I know I'd have to say, obviously, the Burnout would match up really great with
Definitely.
the LTD. What about the other 4?
Rodeo, I tend to keep that in like a machete or a war pig. For me, I like it just because it's stable and it's quick
like
edge
the
to
rodeo.
edge. And I mean, but that's an all over. I've seen it as low as agendas. I've seen it as high as our highest end boards, you know?
Right.
So that's kind of the most universal.
Cool. Revolt.
Revolt, somebody who's looking for definitely a lot softer flexing high back. So on the freestyle side of things, I like it. Kinks, I've seen it on war pigs as well.
Yeah.
I've seen it on twin pigs. But it's more, again, it's a feel. So like I've got friends that want a hard charge, and then I've got friends that are older and they kind of want to play in it, and it gives it a more true skate inspired feeling to it. It would be like loosening up your truck, so you're getting a little bit more playful in there. So that's how I feel like that one tends to be.
Cool.
Capo, it's gonna be in like that berserker mountain pig, you know, algorithm, and I mean even going up to the commissioner. You could do it for sure.
Cool.
A couple of our guys, I believe I put one of our team riders on a Helix with Capos.
Right, it's funny you mentioned Helix, because I was thinking Helix is kind of a hard charging board, hard charging binding. The Helix I think would be great, and the same thing with the Super Pig.
Definitely.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So that's kind of the key. I mean, it definitely goes well with the Super Pig and this in your black and white colorway there. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then El Jefe, I've seen it on Berserker. Algorithm, I've seen it, you know, on the commissioner, all the highest end stuff. I've got friends that ride it on a freestyle board too.
Wow.
So I've seen them on burnouts. I've seen them on a few other things. So it really depends. A lot of it is just a feel and that. So I mean, once you get to a certain point, there's only so many different tweaks you can do to get to where you want to be. So I feel like, you know, if you are that guy that needs every bell and whistle, that's your program.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they are a great collection of bindings that match up well with any kind of board that you want to have. If we carry a wide assortment at the house, stoked to have you guys. Boom. Make sure to leave some comments and questions. Let us know what you think of the lineup here as we kind of walked through this little overview of bindings. We don't feature all of the bindings because we only have such a big table. But thanks for watching, of course. Oelkers, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Subscribe to the channel by hitting that button. Watch more videos over there, and hopefully we'll see you guys on snow. Peace.